Hey guys, Buffett Game Bad today, bringing you another video for our Modern Warfare 2 information drop. Today we'll be covering the Gunsmith for Modern Warfare 2, releasing later this year. Now, a bunch of creators did get a look at this behind closed doors. I was not one of them, so I would definitely recommend after this video, go ahead and check out mainly TheXclusiveAce. He had a really good video, I believe, on June 8th, as well as EcoliEspresso had a very good video on this as well. And I think prestigeIsKey had some good ones there. You'll find a lot of those videos from their creators, but definitely Espresso and TheXclusiveAce had some very good videos, and they both drew out very good diagrams as to what this is going to look like, which is going to be more than I'm going to show you here. But we are going to go into what they discussed and what they saw, and what this means for weapon conversions and balancing, as well as what I think the weapon vault is going to be for different weapons. So first off, jumping into it here, the Gunsmith, it should be similar to what we saw in Modern Warfare 2019, but it's going to be advanced. It's going to be kind of like I suspected, a combination of Modern Warfare 2019 and taking a lot of the pros, I think, that Vanguard brought to the table with some additional attachments while not allowing you to equip all of those attachments. So for this, if we were to back out here, I'll just show you this M13 build that I have. We're just going to discuss this a little bit, and then I'll show some other things on the screen, like the Cinder Vault Pack. So here's our M13. If we look at this, you can see we have all the basic unlocks here that we had with Modern Warfare 2019. Now, in Modern Warfare 2, what this is going to look like is you'll actually have broken up into a top and bottom. So we would be looking at our weapon here, and the top, we'd have a row of 6 above the weapon. These are going to be strictly weapon attachments. So these are going to be things like the muzzle should stay the same. We'll also get the underbarrel. We'll get something like a laser. We'll get an ammunition item, which comes from Vanguard. We'll get an optic, and then we'll get a rear grip. So your top row is going to be all weapon attachments. And then your bottom row, you're going to have a row of 4, which is going to be weapon parts. So this is going to be the barrel option, the magazine, the receiver, okay, which is pretty interesting. This is going to allow us to do a lot with this, which we'll talk about, as well as a stock. So you'll have attachments up top. You have a row of 6. You're allowed to select, it seems like what we're hearing is select 3 of the 6. And then for the bottom row here of weapon parts, you'll be able to select all 4 is what we're hearing. So based on this, we would have something like our M13, and we would be able to go ahead and not only build a weapon like this, but we would also be able to convert them with the weapon parts. So this is going to be kind of like a Tarkov-esque type weapon building experience, maybe a little bit of World War III. Kind of. I would imagine this being the console minimalist version of what World War III provides. Tarkov is very daunting if you're, especially I think for the majority of the Call of Duty community who don't care that much about the attachments. World War III, I think, does a really good job of keeping it more straightforward, and I think this would be kind of a simpler version of that, while keeping in mind the good parts of the Gunsmith from 2019, that being the conversion. So with that in mind, what you're going to be able to have here, it sounds like we'll be able to have 7 total attachments on the guns. Now, what that means as far as weapon parts, would there be, when you break down to a different receiver, would you have additional parts that could go inside of that? So how is that actually going to break down? Would you have 7, but you'd have sub-attachments under that? We'll have to go ahead and see what that looks like. But for example, if we back out to the M13 again, I could select, my muzzle would be something like a compensator, which I have here. Underbarrel, if we're looking strictly at attachments, my underbarrel would be my grip, which is fine. Laser, we have the laser on this build. We'd have the ammunition, which here, let's just say for the sake of it being the base version of this, would just be the 5.56x45 NATO. The optic, we have that Leopold hammer, and then the rear grip, we just don't have anything there, so we would say that we didn't have anything. But for the weapon parts now, we would have a barrel option, which here we have the longer, I believe it's the 20-inch barrel on this version of the MCX. So we would have our barrel option, our magazine, which here we just have a standard, this is that translucent PMag for the 5.56x45 NATO. That would allow you to choose things similar to the 50, the 60-round casket, and then 300 blackout would be different because that would be ammunition. Then we would have our receiver and our stock. Now, the receiver is interesting because this is where we're going to have a bunch of different conversions that are going to be possible. So for the receiver, essentially, I could take the base MCX Virtus, swap out the receiver, and allow it to turn it into the receiver to be compatible with the 9x19 millimeter rounds, turn it into the Sig Sauer MPX. So to do that, I would select the receiver, and then I would have to select probably the magazine would be locked with that receiver, and you would have the 9x19 MPX, or maybe even a 40 Smith & Wesson version. You would have things like the receiver for the 300 blackout ammo conversion here as well. And then you would also have a receiver that would be for the new MCX SIG MCX Spear, which is the XM5 or the M5, which is going to be firing 6.8 by 51 millimeter. That's the NGSW squad weapon winner for the new weapon to replace the M4 platform. So we would have all those as part of receivers, and then obviously your barrel attachments, things like that, or your barrels would hopefully be locked with those for certain different attachments. So I'm assuming like a receiver may lock you in with a particular barrel. It may lock you in with a particular magazine based on what compatibility that receiver is, and you may be locked in with those three. So I can see something like the barrel, magazine, and receiver locking you together for certain attachments. But other than that, it sounds like you'll have a good variety of different things here. Now, if we look at this FGAX Cinder bundle here that we get for pre-ordering the Vault Edition. So this is the Weapon Vault. This is our first Weapon Vault. We hear this is pretty rare, but when I hear the word Vault, it means to me, obviously, something that you own and you're keeping locked up. So what I'm expecting is, if you pre-order this, you get the Cinder Vault, you'll have everything unlocked for this version of the M4 that you would get through progressing the weapon. Now, will it be everything, or will it be certain parts? We don't really know yet. But if you look at this image here for the Cinder Vault Pack, what you get here is the base M4 firing 5.56, and we covered this on our weapon videos the other day for the trailer weapon breakdowns, which again, I'll link those down below. But we have two different crazy looking upper receivers here. One is for the Ares 16. Okay, so that's going to be the belt-fed submachine gun, also known as the Fightlight MCR, I believe it is. So you have a belt-fed M4 conversion, again, taking 5.56 by 45 millimeter, but it will convert this to a belt-fed machine gun. And in that case, you swap out the receiver or the receiver option. Your magazine should be locked to a few choices of belt options, right? So it takes away the ability of an actual Stenag mag or anything like that, and you have to be with X amount of belt options. Now, if we look at the receiver above that, this is going to be the AR-57. This is going to be that conversion that allows you to literally put P90 magazines into the top of this AR-15 platform, and it's going to fire that 5.7 round from FN. So you're going to have an M4 that's essentially a P90 combination, okay? So that's what this is going to look like. So in that case, you select the upper receiver for the AR-57. It's going to lock you into that P90 magazine style ammo, so that you'll have the magazine would be your choice of X amount that take the 5.7 ammo, as well as you're locked into that ammo. So it's going to limit your choices based on the different combinations that you do. You can't just swap a receiver and throw any type of conversion for ammo in there. It's gonna restrict you in some ways based on what we're seeing here. You also have different attachments here for barrel options. So we see the two upper receivers. I see a lower receiver there as well. Not able to get a great look at it, but we do see other barrel options for the classic M4 carbine, which I talked about. We see the Salient Arms Industry gray rifle. Again, these are just barrel options. And it also looks like probably something like a 50 cal Beowulf barrel there, but again, hard to get a good look at it. So what this means for weapon conversions in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is that you'll be able to get very detailed with the conversion. We're going to have content here on this channel for days. So I can see something like the AK platform. It sounds like the unlock tree for these weapons is going to be platform based from what we're hearing from these creators like TheXclusiveAce and Espresso. It's going to be platform based, and any gun under that platform and variants will be unlocked through a progression tree. So for example, if we look at like the AK platform, we know based on the in-game footage from the trailers there's going to be an AK-105, so you'll have different unlocks for that platform in different variants. So if we look at the AK-105, we know is in-game. That means we'll definitely have a conversion to allow that weapon to take 7.62 by 39 millimeter ammo, turn it into a 104. We can also swap out the barrel and turn it into probably a 103, and probably maybe even a 107, which is that recoil compensation system very fast-firing AK, very rare. You may even be able to probably, I'm assuming, the Alpha AK with different Zenico type attachments for barrels, handguards, things like that, different receivers to allow you to turn it maybe into the AN-94. It's not exactly the AK platform, but it's partially based on the AK platform a little bit. So you may be able to convert it to the AN-94. AK-107, like I said, would be really, really cool, as well as even the AK-12 and the AK-15. So there's going to be a lot of options there, and I can also see, based on what we're seeing with the Cinder Volt for the M4, allowing it to have the Ares 16 or the Fight Light MCR conversion to the belt-fed machine gun. I can see for the AK platform doing some crazy stuff to turn that into the RPK, RPD, and potentially even the RPL-20, although that's a bit of a stretch because that is a general purpose squad automatic weapon in trials for the Russian military, so it's not really based on the same platform as the AK at all, but we'll have to see what they go with these unlock trees and how that is going to look. But definitely I can see from an AK platform perspective, the RPK 74, RPD, RPK 16, things like that, AK-12, AK-15, 104, 103, as well as, like we said, the 105, and maybe 107 would be cool as well. And then potentially, since it is the same platform, maybe the PP19 Vitiaz. However, the Bizon's going to be in the game, so I'm assuming that'll be the conversion for that because it's going to take submachine gun rounds. You may see a Val conversion somewhere in there. This is going to be pretty interesting to see how this plays out. I'm really excited for this. This kind of seems like everything I've kind of wanted in the Gunsmith. We're going to have a lot of conversions, probably more to keep up with, and I'll be able to cover in the 2 years of support for the game. But if we look at, again, things like the G36, I think prestigeIsKey said that he may have seen that. There's just going to be an endless amount of different weapons that you can make out of these one weapons. So they really took the weapon conversion factor to the extreme. You can create some... The fact that they have the AR-57 and the Ares 16 as different platforms within the M4 platform is amazing, as well as what we're seeing with the weapon list that I identified in the trailers so far. There's going to be an endless amount of weapons here for sure. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below, what you think of that. There's also going to be what sounds like a slider for each attachment, or at least some attachments, which allows you to bring that slider to the higher end of a spectrum or the lower end of a spectrum for certain attachments. One example that TheXclusiveAce mentioned was for the barrel. There was a slider, vertical and horizontal slider. One was for the heavy to light slider, and that really affected the light would be better ADS speed, and the higher would be recoil control. The other slider would be long to short for aim walking speed, all the way up to better aim and stability. So it allows you to take different weapon attachments that maybe are meant to suit a few different roles in real life and really tune it to your playstyle. So this could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, but I kind of think when we get our hands on it, you're not going to... I think there's going to be some preset slots within those sliders that you're at, so you're really don't have free range throughout the entire tuning process. I think there's going to be some presets in there to keep you within a certain value so that they can easily adjust. But I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have a bunch of different weapon conversions here. And like I said, with the MCX, we know that the M13 is going to be returning. That's going to be the MCX Virtus in real life. So definitely I can see us having a conversion to the MPX submachine gun, all the way up to something like the 300 Blackout version of the Rattler, LVAW, and then up into the XM5 or the M5, the 6-hour Spear, that new NGSW winner, firing the 6.8 by 51 millimeter rounds. So a lot of conversions just for one guns. I think with the M4 and the AKs here in Modern Warfare 2019, I made a stupid amount of conversions out of those, and this sounds like it's going to be a lot more than what we were able to do in this game. So I'm really excited. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think of the gameplay. Again, if you're questioning what kind of weapons you saw in the game, go ahead and check out the videos I'll link down below for the trailer breakdown of weapons, as well as the gameplay for the campaign that we saw for the mission Darkwater. I broke down all the weapons there. Also, be sure to check out EcoliEspresso and TheXclusiveAce's channel, because they got hands-on. Well, they didn't get hands-on with the Gunsmith, but they had the live demo. So they've seen it. They've seen it in action. They've seen some of the guns in the Gunsmith. So they have a better idea than I do. But I'm looking at this from the approach of what they communicated to the public, kind of trying to look at it from a conversion variant type gun nerd, how we're going to build stuff, and it looks really good. So this is going to be almost like a game within a game. Something like Tarkov World War III, I goof around. Even Modern Warfare 2019, I goof around with the weapons in there. Probably more than I actually play the game. So this is going to keep us very busy here on the channel. I'm really excited. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you're liking the content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, it's Buckner Gaming, out.